Chris, welcome back.
Thank you.
Can you sum up your emotions? How does it feel to be Sheffield United manager for a second time?
Yeah, a bit surreal, but then getting back into work this morning and being at a place I love, a special place for me, seeing old faces, seeing new faces as well, and delighted to get back into the game.
It's a huge challenge.
Yep.
So how do you attack that challenge, and how do you approach this game with Liverpool?
Well, with our own personality and characteristics that we feel, through myself and my coaching and managerial career and the guys that we've brought in, the qualities that we can bring, and hopefully to improve the situation that we're in. It's not a great situation, everybody knows that. It is the best league in the world, everybody knows that, and we're playing Liverpool first game up, so thanks very much for the fixture list. But listen, 30,000 odd in Bramall Lane on a Wednesday night under the lights against arguably one of the best teams in Europe is a tough start, but one that we can go and attack and have a right go. And I think that's going to be the attitude for me and the players to reignite the supporters, because there has been a little bit of a disconnect especially over the last two games. A lot of good things have happened over the last 2 years here at this football club, getting back into the Premier League, and we're here for a reason, and we've got to enjoy that challenge. And that's my message to the players, and the players have got to set the ball rolling to connect with those supporters, because as we all know, under the lights at Bramall Lane, it's a fabulous place to go and play football, and nothing to lose.
Do you feel as though you've got unfinished business here, and how confident are you that you can keep the team up?
I think it's business, whether it's unfinished or not. Listen, we're up against it. Everybody in the world, you guys, every pundit that wants to make an opinion, every supporter thinks we're done and dusted. So we've always had that underdog tag, that mentality. We've had it right the way through. Possibly the only season that we didn't have it was when we were in League One, and we managed to deal with that pressure then. So the rise obviously before was great, and a disappointing season stuck in the middle of that. But the majority of the time, me being here, it's been a positive one. So unfinished business. I'm coming back in to help the football club. I've been given that a great opportunity, and I'm grateful for that opportunity from Prince Abdullah, the board, and Stephen to hopefully make a difference. It's going to be a long, hard season. We understand that. There's going to be some difficult moments we're going to have to suffer, but I'm into the players, and hopefully I can get a reaction out of them, and we can help the players, because obviously at the moment confidence is very low.
Relationships became strained towards the end last time. Has time allowed both parties to sort of reflect, learn lessons, and to repair those relationships?
Tim, you've nailed it. This is what happens. It's certain things that I really possibly shouldn't have got involved in, and this is what happens. But it has been over time repaired, and there's a reason why Prince Abdullah wants me to come back to the football club. Regardless of what other people will feel and think, he feels I'm the best man to do the job, and I'm delighted that he thinks that. And I think from the biggest positive for me is that the relationship between him and myself is good, and he wants me to come back and help the football club and hopefully pick up some results and be positive and competitive for the remaining part of the season and longer.
Thank you. Stephen, Chris was hugely successful first time around. What qualities will he bring to the job this time that can make a difference?
Well, I think we all know Chris's style, and the way he knows the DNA of the football club, and he lives and breathes Sheffield and Sheffield United. So I think he understands the heartbeat of what we want to achieve, and the style and manner that we want to do it. And he did that historically, and we feel we can do that again now. And I think when the decision was made, Chris knows the vast majority of the squad already, because he's had them when he was here previously, and I know he's followed our results ever since. So he knows the new players we brought in, and we think he's the right man to hit the ground running with it.
Thank you. Good luck.
Cheers, Tim. Thanks.
Chris, welcome back to Sheffield United. What was it like walking back through the doors here and being back again?
Yeah, it was a bit nuts, really. Mind you, it was about 6:30 this morning, because we've got that much work to do. No, it was good. It was a great feeling back at work and at the coalface, and getting to speak to the players. I had an opportunity speaking to the players today. So, some messages, some reminders of what this club's about, what the culture is that was set in 2016. We all understand that, and that's made us successful. Yeah, I think you've got to realise over this 7 or 8 years, the trajectory of this football club is one that's gone forward, and it's been positive through our initial time, through Paul's period, which was an outstanding period as well, and we have to get back to those values and what we're about, our culture. So the players understood that. There's certain players still here that will pass that message on, I'm sure, in the changing room. And obviously a lot of work to do pretty quickly to stamp our authority, is that the right word, or our message into the players, because you're up against Liverpool, a world-class team, and certain things that we will change. Obviously every manager has that ability to put their own stamp on a team, and we're going to try and do that from the off.
When you last took over here, you needed to lift the place. Is there some crossover there, do you think?
Yeah, I believe that. But listen, it's not. I don't think it was to the manner of what we had to do in 2016. There was a incredible disconnect then. I've said all along. Supporters hated players, players hated supporters. There was no connection between staff, office staff, board, owners, whatever it was. The academy, the 7 or 8 parts of the football club were completely, as you said, disconnected. So that isn't the case now. But there's certain aspects that we need to get back to, I think, and the biggest one is connecting with the supporters. There is a feel, especially recently, that's just lost. The players have lost the trust of the supporters, and they need to earn that back.
The last 2 games have been a real struggle. How do you get this team going again?
Well, through the messages, through the approach, which is key, and how we're going to go about it. I'm under no illusions that it's an incredible first game to be involved in, but we have the lift of 33,000 at Bramall Lane under lights. And I said to the players, look at it this way. This is an FA Cup third round tie. What would your approach be? You would be looking forward to it. You would want to get amongst it, and you want to go and prove a point and go and get a big result off of a big performance. We need a huge performance. I am, and always have been, one for win at all costs, but I think I've really changed over sort of this last sort of period to look at maybe the performance first. We've got to get the performance right, and I think if we do that, then we can be competitive, and we need to be more competitive than what we have been.
Some people say never go back. Why do you disagree with that?
I wouldn't be sat here, would I? So, and I think there's examples of that as well. I think there's obviously people. It's an easy line to roll out, but I think there's enough examples to know that other managers have gone back and enjoyed their time. I'm going to give it my all. I'm enthusiastic and more determined than I've ever been in my life. I think Sheffield United are getting me at my best as well. Through at times you have to feel that failure and feel the pain to make you better, and I certainly have. I'm not arrogant enough to know that there's a hell of a lot of work still to be put in, and we've got to earn the trust of the players back. They've got to earn the trust of the supporters back, because that's key as well. But for me personally, this is a huge challenge that I'm really rubbing my hands together to get back involved in, and hopefully help the club get out of the position that they're in.
You mentioned earlier that your relationship with the owner has evolved over time. What was the catalyst for that? What brought you together?
Just, I think Prince Abdullah, in his interview with TalkSport today, was talking about past employers, so employees that he likes to have a good relationship with. So, there's a lot of things go off without people knowing what really goes off. So, even though pretty quickly after I'd left, I'd received messages from Prince Abdullah talking about obviously what happened, and wishing me all the best, wishing my family all the best in the future and my future journey, and even as a reference for future jobs. I remember there's a job at Fenerbahce, and he talked to me and said, if you need to use me as a reference, go ahead, and I've got good connections, and I will be advising the owner at Fenerbahce to give you a call regarding the vacant job. So I think that just shows what what Prince Abdullah was about at that time, and it's grown. Has it been weekly? No. Has it been occasional? Yeah. Congratulated him and Paul, on the success over the sort of the last 2 seasons as well. And he's wished me all the best at the clubs that I've taken over since.
When you think of all the moments you've had at this football club, the promotions, that first season in the Premier League, what would keeping the team in the Premier League this year, how would that compare to maybe some of those other achievements?
We've created some great memories, and that'll be another one. We know there's a hell of a task ahead of us and an opportunity, but it's an opportunity to do it, And like I said, we've got the tag of underdogs, and the narrative out there. We all understand that. We can't, we don't just blank ourselves off. We all pick up papers and read stuff, and I know it's quite difficult at times, but people do that because naturally they want to keep the finger on the pulse of what is the game that we all love, and put Sky on and they read other stuff, and the narrative out there is very, very negative about us, and only us can change that narrative. Are we going to do it for you guys? Nah, but we're going to do it for ourselves and our supporters and our football club, and that's going to be the attitude going forward.
January is not that far away. Have you been given any assurances that you'll be able to buy some players, bring some players in?
For me, Rob, the really focus is on the team and on the game-to-game attitude, getting the next game, not looking too far ahead. I know obviously January is there, and in a word, Rob, give us an opportunity to get me head up, please, and have a breath, because obviously it's a bit hectic over the last 2 or 3 days. But yeah, of course there'll be conversations, and I'm sure that there'll be opportunities if we feel we can improve the group. First and foremost, I've got to get the best out of the group that I've got now, between now and January the 1st. But I'm sure that if we see improvements and we see some glimmer of hope, then Prince Abdullah would I'm sure will push that forward and try and help us improve the group.
Finally, it's a very tough first game, but it's a great occasion, great challenge, isn't it, to play Liverpool at the Lane? It's
an incredible challenge. Like I said, treat it as a FA Cup third round tie, and we're playing Liverpool at home, and nothing to lose. Contrary to opinion, and great respect for Jurgen Klopp and what he's done. He's an absolute world class manager and they're a world class team. So of course it doesn't come any easier. But as long as we get the performance right and we give the supporters something to shout about, because that's the key for me. That for me, it's obviously been looking from a distance. It's been a difficult start, but for the majority of the home games, the supporters have made that shirt light for the players and really got behind them, and been close at times. Everybody knows that. The effect, it's amazing when you speak to people, and obviously the COVID season, and when supporters weren't in Bramall Lane, I think that affected us more than any other football club in the division. I would say that because it's my club and I know the difference that they make. And for me, they were turning, not single-handedly because there's about 30,000 of them, but they were turning losses into draws and draws into wins, and hopefully we can give them something to shout about that happens again in the forthcoming games.
Very best of luck, Chris.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Stephen, last time we had a conversation with you, you said whatever happens this year, Paul Heckingbottom will stay as manager. So what changed?
Yep, I think ultimately performances. It's not results so much. When you look here, I think we're realistic about our opportunities this season and where we're going to be. But we still wholeheartedly believe there is an opportunity for us to stay in this league, and we still believe we are good enough to stay in this league. And less around results and more around performances at the end of the day. And we wasn't happy with the performances in the last few games. And I think that ultimately made us feel like we needed to make that change.
Well, what's it going to be like working with Chris again?
I've said to Chris already, and to the rest of his coaching staff, it feels like they'd never left. Like literally, we've just started having the same conversations and the same things, and it's literally like he's never even left the place. And I mean that was one of the reasons for Chris's reappointment, is that we haven't got time just to at this point in time staying in the Premier League is so important from a financial perspective that we've got to do everything we can to achieve that. And we didn't, picking Chris is because he can literally come straight back in and hit the ground running, and that's what we need, because we haven't got the luxury of time. So,
how will you support him as a club to give him the best chance to keep this team in the Premier League?
Yeah, I think obviously we'll give him all the support we can. I mean, if you're talking about from a financial perspective, I mean, obviously, it's no secret we work within certain limits financially, and we don't have hundreds of millions to be spending on players, etc. But Prince Abdullah gives us the support that he can, and he is determined to help whenever he can with that. So we've already had initial conversations about January. I won't go into huge amounts of detail about them, but the reality is, when we get to that point, the discussions have been had, and I'm sure the Prince Abdullah will give us as much support as he possibly can to make the changes if we need to.
Overall, on the financial outlook, has the club been able to almost reset financially by being back in the Premier League? Is the club in a better place now as a consequence of everything, and can you move forward without any financial issues now?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I mean, 100%. Obviously the riches of the Premier League makes it fairly easy to reset, because the numbers are so big compared to being in the Championship. So yeah, it has enabled us to reset. It's enabled us to invest in some of the infrastructure. We're actually starting the works on the hotel soon as well, so we'll have a hotel back open for next season, which will be great for everyone. So and you'll see there's been some work, if you guys have been around the stadium, there's been some investments there into the corporate areas and the suite areas, etc. And we're continuing to try to move forward with the funds that we have available, and I think that won't change. And
finally, and obviously there's a lot going on at the minute, but where is the club at in terms of takeover talks or anything like that? Is anything like that going on in the background at the minute?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no secret. Prince Abdullah's been open about the fact that he would like, if he found the right buyer, he would like to sell the football club, and discussions are ongoing. But as we see here at the moment, I can't see any imminent change happening.
Thanks, Stephen. Thank you.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
You mentioned the disconnect with the fans, but I just wondered whether you'd actually sneaked in on the quiet and watched a few games, and if you've made any sort of observations about where things have gone wrong on the pitch.
You can have your opinion on it, of course, and every manager and every coach does. Whether I'm looking at any club or watching any game, you always look at from a tactical point of view and from every aspect. That's what makes the game so fascinating. Myself personally, I've been to Bramall Lane once to work for the BBC in the FA Cup tie last year against Tottenham. Went to the Tottenham game away as a guest of Jim Rosenthal, from Tottenham's point of view in a box while I was at London for the weekend over going to a funeral. So they're the only two opportunities I've had to see Sheffield United up close and personal. But of course, it's my club, and I follow them intensely, of course, and would have my own ideas in a lot of good things that have happened over the last 2 years, because the change from obviously the disappointing results that allowed Paul to take over the job and the run then, and obviously last year as well in gaining promotion. Promotion is not given out easy, and it was a great effort an achievement by all. But as I said, working in the here and now, and we've got to, myself, my coaches and the players have got to get together and find a way to be better, to give ourselves a fighting chance of survival.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
Good to see you again.
Thank you.
We know how much this club and what this club means to you. Was there any doubts or hesitations about coming back?
Not at all. When I point back to 2016, and family and close friends who are massive United fans, doubted if it was the right decision to go back. Why do you need to do this? There might be better options. You don't need to put a pressure on yourself. You're a local boy. You love the football club. You've got everything to lose. And I never looked at it that way. I thought I had everything to gain. Didn't after 3 games. I thought, what have I done when we were 3-0 down after about 20 minutes against Southend at home back in League One? So, we've tasted tough times there initially, but this time when the call came in, and the opportunity arose. Of course, my same mindset is I believe that myself, my coaches can help and make a difference and take that opportunity up, which I'm delighted that I was given that.
What's different about Chris Wilder now than a few years ago when you left?
I'm better for the experiences. You know, I've had a couple of experiences at Middlesbrough and Watford, which were interesting. I enjoyed my period at Middlesbrough. You know, the first season I went in, and the club went from lower half of the Championship right up into the playoffs. Had two fantastic cup experiences, beating Man United at Old Trafford and beating Spurs at the Riverside. Got off to a slow start, I understand that, and the decision was made for the first time in my career to terminate my contract after 10 games. I think I was the 12th manager in that division after 10 games. The chairman make a decision, as owners and chairmen have that ability to do, and you sometimes don't think you've been given time, or you feel it's unfair, but you know, that's by the by. The owner makes a decision. I've spoke to Steve afterwards, and I'm on good speaking terms with Steve regarding that. And I had an opportunity of going to see Matt Fitzpatrick out in Augusta for a week. I had tickets to go there, and I took the chance of working at Watford for 10 games. So obviously, when we were 2-0 down after 10 minutes, and Fitzy was trying to roll in a 10-footer for a 67. Maybe I doubted the decision was the correct decision, but that was an experience, and a great experience as well, because I've worked at different clubs with different profiles. I think everybody knows the profile at Watford. I think I was the 4th or 5th manager in the space of 15 months. So ego thinks you can make a difference as well, but maybe I should have spoke to Claudio Ranieri and Roy Hodgson and Rob Edwards and Slav. But you always think you can make a difference, and I wanted to work, and unfortunately didn't get to the playoffs. But another great experience for me, working with 2 sporting directors, working with culturally a different set of players. So these experiences helped me and have made me, I believe, going to be a better manager going forward. I don't see, for me, having that experience, as long as I've got the hunger and desire to go again. And whether it's prove or be determined or win or whatever you want to, whatever the narrative is, as long as I don't lose that determination and enthusiasm, I believe that managers, if they're smart and they learn from the mistakes, are going to be better for those experiences.
When you come in sort of at this point in the season, does it help that you know the majority of the team and you've worked with them before and you know their strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah, but there's a lot of boys that are new to me. But I know Gussaima, I know Luke Thomas, I know James McAtee, I know those players, Trusty, players that have been in and around the Championship and play for Premier League teams, so I know what their strengths and weaknesses are. I know the group. They'll get to know me pretty quickly as well through players, and passing their past experiences on to those boys. But it's a good group. It's an honest group that wants to work hard and wants to win. They just need a little bit of help, and we've got to restore the confidence back into those players, and that's my job to give them a game plan that they believe in and go out and try to execute it, regardless if you're playing the top of the table in Liverpool or you're playing teams in and around you.
Thanks, good luck.
Thank you, cheers.
Just
thanks.
One for you, Stephen, if you can. Just a word on Paul Heckenbottom and the job he did to you.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking, to be honest. Obviously, I'd like to put on record for the club that our thanks goes to Paul and his coaching staff that worked with him, because Paul did an excellent job. Obviously got us promoted last season. He's been an absolute pleasure to work with, and he's been a true classy person in the way the last couple of days have panned out. And yeah, I mean, I think his record speaks for himself here in what he did last season and how he's carried himself during difficult times, and he's been a credit to this football club.
Mark from Look North. Welcome back, Chris.
Thanks, Mark.
If you were to achieve your aim of keeping Sheffield United in the Premier League, would it be your best achievement yet in football?
Well, if we get that opportunity, we'll talk about it then. But I'm focused on not on what happens, in March, April, May, and what happens tomorrow night, and really as short term as that, and that is as simplistic as it can be. You can't get carried away. You can't look ahead. You can't think that that's a winnable game. That's not a winnable game. We believe we can be competitive in every game. You look at Luton, and I know it's at Kenilworth Road, and I know Liverpool had the majority of play and majority of chances and missed some good chances, but they were really competitive. So you look at that, and Luton have not gone into that game thinking, well, it's just Liverpool, so we'll roll over, accept a defeat, and move on to games where we think we can have more of a chance of winning. Every game's an opportunity, and this club's shown that in the past. And needs to show that in the future.
And how do you go about starting the job? What do you do? What's your first days in the job? What are you going to be doing to try to turn things around for Sheffield United?
Lift the confidence, of course, body language, our attitude towards the players, our message towards the players, our game plan. Got to pick a team straight away, obviously. There's some boys still out injured, which is going to be a blow, which every club has to deal with. So we have to deal with the players that was available to us, put them in a formation. But it's a mindset and an attitude more than anything for me that determines how we go and how the performance is and what I want it to look like. I know what I want this team to play like and want it to look like. The supporters know that. They know what they want to see in their team, what characteristics, and that needs to be transferred into the players, their attitude, their mindset, their body language, and their approach to the game on Wednesday night.
Thank you. Stephen, what would you say to Sheffield United fans who are fed up with how things have been going this season?
I think they've got to be patient. I think, in fairness to the supporters, I think they're realistic. They are realistic about our opportunities this season and where we're gonna where we can potentially finish this season. And I think they've been I think they're honest, the supporters. They just want to see a good performance. At times they understand if we're not beating Man City and Man United week by week, but they want to see a performance that is showing 100% and fighting for that win. And I think that's what we're hoping to see going forward.
Cheers, Chris. Welcome back.
Thank you, Al.
Did you feel that you were destined at some stage in your career to return here?
Other people did. Other people said that you'll be back, and conversations that we all have from time to time with family and friends. You never know how the journey of a football manager. My journey has been an interesting one, as you know full well. From a place that I was there on Saturday at Alfreton, non-league to the heights of the Premier League. So nobody can ever. I think it's a little bit like snakes and ladders at times. It's very difficult to plot your way through a career as a manager and to pick a particular time to say, well, I'm going to be a manager there, or this is going to happen. When the door opens here, I did believe, if I did get offered the job, that it would be very, very difficult to turn down and go back to a place that I obviously love.
When you were here before, you set a very defined style of playing, a pioneering style of playing, and that's kind of perpetuated in the time that you weren't here under Paul Heckingbottom. Do you have any sort of thoughts on whether you'd like to persevere in that way, or do you think that you might have to alter it tactically this time?
I think that from my point of view, as a professional manager that's got all the coaching badges that anybody can get, and my staff have, I think it's a bit disrespectful that, and not a criticism to you, Al, or your opinion or anybody's opinion on regarding how you play. I played 4-3-3 at Oxford, got them out of the division. Played 4-2-3-1 at Northampton. We wanted to play a certain way at Sheffield United. There is a style that I believe you need to play at Sheffield United, by the way. I don't think it's backwards and square. It's not passive. It's not counter-attack. You might get pushed back, but the supporters want to see what they want to see, which is positive front foot football. And in that, in my time here, we've changed that during game, in game, to change, to chase, to defend, to see a game out, but it's always been a positive approach. Of course, we at that time we wanted to play two up front, and we had Billy Sharp, and we wanted to play two because I felt it was the right thing to do at Sheffield United, to play two up front, playing the front foot. It evolved, and everybody talks about the 3-5-2 and overlapping centre halves, and obviously the club it set the club fair for the players that we employed and signed. It didn't really have wingers in it, so it was good for a period in the Premier League. The second season, it was still competitive. For me, it wasn't really from the tactical approach. It was more the big moments approach, and obviously, I still say that I unbelievably believe that we wouldn't have finished bottom of that division if fans were in Bramall Lane in that COVID season. It's quite easy for me to say that, and people will just, I should imagine, just dismiss it. But I definitely believe, because I think we've all been there and seen what the effect of the supporters does to the team. So going back to that, we can coach anything we want. We just need to coach a system that is positive front foot, that has got a structure out of possession, and has got an identity in possession, whether that's 4-3-3, three centre halves, whatever that is. We can coach all of them. It suited the team, it suited the club in that period, and it suited them. And if you look back, you go promotion, 10th place finish in the first year in the Championship, promotion, 9th finish. Obviously, a disappointing season there. I do believe, and I'm not being controversial, if the manager had stuck to the system and the players that we had in the season that were relegated to go back up, I believe that it would have got into the minimum playoffs and possibly would have got promoted. And obviously Paul got promoted with the same system as well. So yeah, we'll look at everything. It's predominantly hasn't got wingers in the football club. So, but we'll see, and we'll try and pick the best formation and the best players to fit those formations and play them in their best positions.
Looking back to when you left, I think it's fair to say, would you agree, there were regrets on both sides about it happening and the way it happened? You as a manager evolve. Is there anything about you
Absolutely
that will...
spot on, Alan.
Yeah.
It's like, of course, it's any relationship, whether you it's a working relationship, a personal relationship, these things happen, and you do look back, and I always say I'm a massive one on reflection. We'll reflect on today's training session. What could we have done better? How did that go? Was that good? Was that not good? Timings and everything. On a match, on a selection of a team, on a period, on a season, there's always reflection. So of course you do look back, and there's certain things personally that I know that I should have dealt with better. And I think the measure of first of all Prince Abdullah, who could quite easily have gone in a different direction, quite easily. This is a coveted job. It's in a difficult position, but it's a coveted job, a job in the Premier League. It's quite easily could have opened it up for tender to go and attract somebody else. And it's good enough for me that he wants me to come back and lead this football club back and try and get some results. And from my point of view, you push it, you push those things, you deal with them, which were dealt with pretty quickly, and you get on with and you move forward. And I have moved forward. And I said I've got good relationships with all the people that I've worked with. There's a narrative that I'm spiky or this, that and the other or whatever. I want the best for the football club, but I've got decent relationships with the guys at Northampton, Oxford and Middlesbrough. So and certainly got an excellent relationship with Prince Abdullah. I won't be sat here.
And finally, your style has been to manage a football club across the board, or be involved in most things that happen at a time when the model has deviated more towards head coaches. So do you see your role changing in any way from the way that you have done the job before?
I think there's changes, there's tweaks, of course, but I still look at the best managers in the world, which are Pep, Guardiola, which is Jurgen Klopp. You look, Postecoglou's up there now, and other guys. I know Eddie Howe. I'm talking from a English Premier League. They're managers. they're managers, and they understand that first and foremost it's the first team, but they'll be involved in, what happens in the academy. They'll be involved in some way, recruitment. They'll be involved in what they want the club to look like, and I was involved always in that. And I think maybe, like I said, on reflection and looking back, concentrating more on what I can deal with and control and get the best out of, and everybody else getting on with the jobs that they're good at, and helping me to get a result on a Saturday or a Tuesday or Wednesday.
And just to Stephen, it requires a degree of permanence, doesn't it, for a manager to influence a football club in a situation where Premier League managers in your situation often do lose their job, even though they might be the best person to bring back. So without being pessimistic, and obviously Chris will hope and try to keep you in the Premier League, this is an appointment for beyond that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's an initial appointment for 19 months or the end of next season, and ultimately we'll see where it is at that point. But we spoke with Chris, and we felt that was a long enough period to start with to actually give him the opportunity to put his footprints back onto the first team and our performances, etc. And then at that point we'll reevaluate. Yeah.
And is this club equipped financially, realistically, to compete in the Premier League, or do you foresee that struggle is going to carry on?
I think that's a difficult one, Alan. I think when you look at the Premier League, what I will say is that the last time we got promoted with Chris here, I've definitely noticed the difference this time when we've got promoted in terms of the vast sums of money that are being thrown around in the Premier League and being spent. I think there's a lot of, we talk about it being the best league in the world, and that obviously attracts wealthy individuals that want to own these football clubs, and at that point they invest into them heavily, and we've seen that with the likes of Newcastle as an example in recent times. It is difficult, but when you look here, if you can stay in the league a few seasons and use that money well, and invest in the right way, you can get returns from it and you can keep pushing on. But ultimately, we do appreciate that we're in the bottom part of the league in terms of the level of investment we're making, along with the couple of other clubs really that are coming up this season, and it is a difficult task, but that just puts a bit of more pressure on us to make sure we spend the money right.
Thank you.
Cheers, Al.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
I'm just wondering if you've had any chances to get back in anywhere else between leaving Watford and coming here.
Yeah, I've had opportunities. But they had to be the right ones as well. So, I like to think that I've still got a bit of life in the old dog, and people will feel that as well. So, but they had to be right. The next move for me. I mean, I don't really count Watford as basically as an employment. It was a stopgap for 10 games, and try to help them gain a few results in that period. But since I've been out, I think the next one has to be the most important one from where I've been. I've not really tasted a lot of failure through my career, and close to managing 1,000 games, but still the next one has to be the right one, and I 100% believe that this is the right one for me.
You mentioned earlier there's some injuries, and I think you must have had one session with the guys. What's it looking like for tomorrow, team news-wise? The guys missing from the weekend?
Yeah, we have. I'm not going to give anything away. The job's hard enough. So, listen, everybody knows Ollie Mack's not going to be available. So, and there's some long-term injuries, Egan Davis, and the likes of that. But it's looking okay in terms of a few coming back. Ryan Brewster and Reece Norrington-Davis is trained today, and Jebuson's not a million miles away. So, getting people back, getting players back to give us the opportunity to be competitive and have a stronger, more balanced squad is key to that.